And hello, everybody. Welcome to Coffee, Kegs, and Kriegsspiel. I'm your host, Marshall. I've got my tabletop simulator up. I'm going to join a room in just a minute, and we're going to connect to Dave's table, and we're going to talk about yesterday's big battle. There was a huge battle between the forces of Blaureich and Carvike, and we're going to talk about all this. Real quick, I'm going to go ahead and pull up the red versus blue module just so I can give kind of a little bit of a strategic overview for people who are less informed on this. I'm going to turn my face off so you see more of the map. And this is an old map, but it will do. And which everyone needs to know is, actually, why don't we use blue for these guys, right? They're blue. Is Blaureich made a pretty big attack basically straight in to the Carvike capital. Now, Carvike has two capitals, but they're actually kind of like, think of it like Constantinople or something, spanning the Bosporus Sea, so that you have, half of the city on one side, half on the other side, and there's regular ferry and boat traffic between them. In any case, the Blau made their attack, and I don't know how it went. I wasn't home yesterday. I wasn't a participant in the fight. However, we had several fantastic umpires who were there, and they're going to tell us how it went, and they're going to give us some lessons, I hope, based on the experiences they had as umpires and what they saw the players doing. How did the players do? I don't know if we're going to get a hard and fast ruling on the outcome of the battle. There's a lot of calculus that has to be done, as I understand, but we're going to get some results. But basically, so Blaureich is sort of like our Prussian analog, whereas Carvike is like a Scandinavian Viking type analog. Um, and the two nations, of course, went to war. And I won't talk about the casus belli or anything there, but Blaureich has way more people and is more technologically sophisticated and better organized. Nonetheless, the people of Carvike are quite fierce, and they were fighting to defend their capital, so we can expect that this was a bloody engagement. All right, Dave, how you doing?
Good, good, good. I actually got the table up, so you can join that whenever you wish. I sent you the password for it.
Okay, so let me go ahead and hop in here. And here's Peter. We're going to give him an invite to speak as well. And let's see, we're going to join. Here it is. We're going to connect, and there we go. We're going to connect to Peter's or Dave's table. Uh-oh, it didn't like the password. Did
Try it lowercase.
Yep, we'll
I
try it
think.
lowercase. Connect. There we go. And it should connect. And let's see. Oh, it still failed to connect.
Hmm.
All right, let's try it again. We'll try uppercase again. And Peter, you there? It's still not
Yeah, I
connecting.
am. I'm here.
Wonderful, Peter. Unfortunately, we're having a technical issue here with
Hmm.
Aren't
not
we always?
Let me
right.
okay. Let me reload it and
Okay. All right, we'll be joining the table momentarily. Peter, how you doing? Welcome to
Yeah,
the
I'm
show.
feeling good. Yeah, I'm feeling pleased that I ran quite a pretty and successful game yesterday.
Good. Yes, I think it created an appropriate level of anxiety for sure for a lot of people. I saw some of the commentary yesterday while I was scooting about Santa Barbara, California, and it was actually pretty cool. I was able to check out some of the dispatches, and you had folks who are doing fine, one dispatch, the next dispatch, they're getting overrun. So it was appropriately chaotic.
Try it again, gents.
All right,
All over the place. It should work.
upper or lower? You said.
Lowercase.
Okay. All right. And now I'm really excited to see this and learn kind of what happened here.
I'll let Peter tell the story.
All right, Peter, when you're loaded
Thanks
in,
for that.
it's going to be up to you to take it away.
It's
Oh,
failing to me,
look at this.
but what I can do is maybe show it on
Is
my
it
side, perhaps.
is it loading for you, Peter?
No, it's not loading for me either. So
I'm in,
okay, I shall try again.
but let's take a look at this. This is an intermediate state, isn't
Have a
it?
look.
Or
Yeah.
is this the end state?
No, this was the end state. We gave them how many turns, Peter? So it was for 12. I think 12 turns.
I think we got to 11 actually.
Oh,
I
really?
think that
Okay.
was, yeah. We got close to the optimum.
Yeah, and look at that. Okay, so it looks like they're
Oh, here we
trying
go.
their best to defend. They've kind of held the core of the city to some degree. They held the docks. It looks like. Um, Look at this. We've got batteries there.
I'll
So
get my little pen out and
there you are.
draw some lines.
All right, yeah, take it away, man. What a cool map you found.
Okay.
This is actually very similar to the one that I just created. Like almost identical in many
When you
respects, but
drew yourself,
prettier.
yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine so. Yeah, well, I have to give a shout out to a person called Lunid, and they're on Deviant Arts, and they created this particular map. Not for us, obviously, but I thought worthwhile giving them a shout out because it is a particularly pretty map, isn't it? So, anyway, so starting locations. So the Blaustein forces, if I use the orange blob of a marker to show where the Blaustein forces were set up, they were essentially set some way along like this, in this kind of area here. And the Carvike forces, they had 3 divisions. 2 of them were like main divisions that they had located on these main corners here. They had a smaller division here, a smaller division up in this top left-hand corner, and then some alt-marked freebooters, basically, volunteers up in the top right-hand corner.
Oh wow,
Here.
that's a development. Altmark.
Yeah,
They're not officially sanctioned though, were they?
I'm not going to say anything because, like you said, we like to mess with people. So maybe they were,
Wow.
maybe they weren't.
Okay, yeah, that's news to me.
yeah.
That's a surprise. Okay,
Okay.
great.
So Blaustein essentially had their artillery set up like they would do in a siege, so along this long orange line here. But so the concept was at 12 o'clock they'd done enough damage to the gate areas to allow free access through, and that's when they launched their attack. So on this left flank they had 7th Corps moving up here, and then they had 1st Corps moving up on the right. My computer sometimes has a little delay to itself, but so I can't. There we go. So they were coming in like this. And this was the stronger flank coming here. So 1st and 2nd Corps were here. I think Carvike forces learned soon enough that the coastal gates were less inclined to get attacked, so they did start to move some of their forces forward like this. And also another feature of this battle was that Carvike forces were being reinforced by the other Carvike capital, or the other part of the Carvike capital across the waters. So every turn there was a chance of some additional reinforcements turning up to the battle. So that was the initial phase. So these guys got to here fairly well. Everyone actually got to the gates fairly well without too much disruption. These guys got about here. It was when they actually entered the gates was when Blaustein come against the main problem, because the Carvike forces. One thing about them is they have a very strong melee presence. So they may not have had as many muskets, but they had a load of swords and bucklers and kind of old school two-handed axes, and they would have been miserable for any regular infantry to come into close contact with, and they kind of did in this kind of box here and in this box here. So I think a good couple of brigades of Blaustein on each side got chewed up in that initial engagement there. It's pretty bloody. But I think the differences on the flanks was this corps was able to get up onto these walls, but the 7th Corps, whether they knew that they had ladders or not, decided not to come up onto these walls and expand the assault frontage. So they were just basically bottlenecking into here, and then it just it lengthened the time that they were actually getting chewed up in there. So that was
just
like the middle
meat grinder.
It was a meat grinder, yeah, absolutely. So that was like the middle phase, and then eventually this side was able to break through, and then they were kind of just chasing the Carvike forces back to the port wall. The Carvike forces were kind of holding in certain areas, but yeah, if I get rid of some of these markers on this side, they did actually start to kind of push out this way as well. They pushed in here, so it's a big fallback here. There was an interesting situation here. Was Sam Miller, who was commanding the Blaustein forces, told 7th Corps that if they weren't actually being successful, they should disengage and maybe move to a different location, which they did do. But just as they were doing that, the Carvike forces actually retired, and they were kind of close to breaking as well. If 7th Corps had actually really kind of committed to pushing and also taken these walls, they would have chewed up the Carvike forces in there. So it was just one of those Kriegsspiel moments that when the Blaustein 7th Corps stopped attacking, the Carvike forces moved away, and they took up other positions that you can see kind of up here and around here. So it was going to be another second line of defence that the Blaustein forces would have to go through, and also on this kind of a middle wall, the Carvike forces also kind of sit up there for a little bit. But again, the 2nd and 2nd Corps were doing really well for Blaustein here, and they were able to be quite successful, although taking heavy casualties on this eastern part of the city. And although 7th Corps got chewed up initially here, actually they were quite intact once they'd entered the city proper. So they may well have been quite successful here on this western portion of the battle. The Carvike forces did actually get 2 brigades of reinforcements come into them, which I think helped in. I think Dave knows a bit more about how the Carvike performed, but I think those 2 were actually quite useful. And they did have Huscarls as well. I'm not sure exactly how well they performed, but No, that as you can see, that's where we stand. Essentially, Carvike hold the port walls. They hold the walls to the gun, the port guns in on the northeast of the town. But another critical thing was that they actually started to set up the Blaustein actually set up their artillery on the northeast section of the city, allowing them to fire upon the boats that were bringing the reinforcements. So they've essentially cut off reinforcements coming into the port there. So that, I mean, that's a key factor right there as well. So we've yet to decide exactly the implications of the battle and what's going to happen in the future. I guess we'll have a go over that at some point.
Maybe it's a stalemate. Maybe this is Stalingrad 1805 or 06 or whatever.
Yeah, it could be.
You know.
I don't know. I think there'd be some kind of terms, in the early 1800s. I think officers would have to kind of meet and say, well, what are we going to do here? Because Blaureich's forces, they suffered a hell of a bloody nose, and Carvike defended well enough, but I don't know, would you... Yeah, so we'll just have to kind of see.
Yeah, we're going to have to confer as umpires and make some decisions and maybe roll some dice.
yeah, absolutely. There's a few options there, anyway.
What lessons do you think there were for players in this? Did you see anything that, like, the players should take a lesson from this?
I'm not too sure, Dave. Perhaps you know more from a Carvike side of what lessons they.
Like, did you see
scenario,
any?
Isn't it?
Did you see any brilliant moves or any big mistakes or errors, blunders? I think parking that artillery to cover the entrance to the harbor would be a great move. +1 to whoever did that. That was smart.
Yeah, I mean, I said that was a little Napoleon moment, as Napoleon did the same thing when he was a corporal, I think. But I did like that move. But I would have to take my hats off to the Carvike players for how well they defended.
Who decided where breaches were going to be made? How were breaches handled? Did the players decide that, or did we say we're going to start you off with something to get the game rolling, or how did that work out?
Yeah, so I come to the decision that the breaches were actually the gates. So we kind of abstracted a little bit there. So obviously they are gates, but they were the breaches.
Yeah.
As well. So it's kind of just an easy.
You got to get the. Yeah, you got to fight the battle.
It was an easy visual. There was an easy visual for them on that, and then they were able to scale the walls as well. I did tell Sam Miller that everyone had ladders. And I mean, it was a Kriegsspiel moment. I told Sam that everyone had ladders, but I think 7th Corps, for whatever reason, got the wrong end of that communication and decided they were either told they didn't have ladders, or they didn't think about the ladders, or whatever, and obviously they paid. But that could happen. Maybe they left the ladders back at base. So we can make a story on any
Carvike raid on the
part of
on the train.
So, yeah. So the breaches were the gates. You could see some barricades around. I wasn't initially going to have barricades, but they said that we need to give.
Yeah, I think
extra protections, and it worked out. I think it worked out well. Them having some barricades.
Yeah, because you wanted to make it really hard for Blaustein to take the day, and if the name of the game is to defend the port and defend the town, then it is not without reason that planks of wood and market stalls and all sorts of stuff are turned over to make impromptu barricades.
Yeah.
Were there any Were there any heroes in this battle? I mean, was there anyone or a particular brigade or unit that just stood out like, oh wow, you know?
Oh, the Outmark Volunteers did pretty damn well as like a secondary line of defense, I would think. As did I think it was First Division's troops down here on the southwestern corner, chewed up 2 brigades worth of Blaustein infantry. They held the line pretty damn well. And Great Gold, you know, fighting on the walls himself, took a musket ball to the shoulder, type of thing. It was a real bloody affair.
Mm,
Yeah,
wow.
I remember towards the end of the event, we call them herdmen, which is like the old Viking kind of warrior name. So 2 groups of herdmen were basically launched an attack against artillery and infantry down. Yeah, I'll clear some things here. So I think it was about here. This little spot here. I know I'm using orange all the time here, so maybe I'll choose another colour to make it. So down here, this where a little white circle is. So there was artillery and there was a brigade of infantry, and basically they stormed that position. The infantry was able to kind of stop them taking the guns, but then they just hacked that brigade away and then
Wow.
took the guns, but they were depleted as well, and then another brigade came in and finished them off. So that was a kind of a heroic last charge, you know, to blunt the Blaustein in that particular area there. But
Was there a favorite moment for either of you guys? Like, oh wow, that's just amusing or amazing or whatever. Favorite moments?
well, I think that attack that I've just spoke about there was very good because it was stacked against those herdmen. It was quite amusing with regards to Sniper. I think he was getting berated by his corps commander because he was basically out front of his forces trying to scout the walls, all the while being fired at by artillery placements. I don't know if you can see the little half sections of artillery on the walls were just there just to kind of add an extra layer of disruption to forces coming in. So I felt that was quite amusing, and then just the general Sam just telling everyone to get to the harbour gate. You know, for the last hour of the battle, so you know, just rush the gate, because they knew they only had 3 hours. You know, 12 turns maximum of time to actually get there. So, yeah, he was really trying to push them.
Fantastic.
And it worked. I think it worked out really well because either side could have won and lost the battle. I think it worked out really well, to be honest.
Good. Are there any takeaways for us as umpires? Any umpire takeaways from this experience?
I think Peter, I think setting up, the way the scenario was set up, and you know the way the players sorted themselves out into teams before the event kind of helped the start. I think we started pretty well, and we got into our stride better and quicker as well. I think that helped.
Good.
Yeah, I think we ran the game on Saturday, didn't we? And that was a kind of a bit of a first, even though we experienced Kriegsspielers here and running games. That was the first time that we'd actually run an 8006 campaign battle with people that would generally had skin in the game of the battle. And we didn't really explain that it was going to be just like an open Saturday. I think there were some suggestions that maybe players wanted this to run for 3 days. I don't know how we were going to actually do that, but
everything's a compromise. You know, there's only so much we can do, and we got to keep the campaign moving.
I guess it's one of those things of, like today, you say like you buy a plug and it's got all the safety information on it. Don't put your finger in the plug, all this kind of thing. And I think it's kind of similar to that, as in people have played the Open Saturdays. They know it only lasts a certain amount of time, but I guess some people wanted like the full clarification of any particular thing, and also we didn't do that. So in this particular game, I did give clarification on, yes, this isn't just a standard open Saturday. It's only going to last a maximum of 12 turns, and then the rest of it is going to be worked out by the umpire. So do what you need to do in those 12 turns to impress upon the umpires basically the result of the battle. And I think that was kind of taken on board. And then, like you said, having the players do the legwork as regards to the channels was really good as well. Because I'd spent a lot of hours putting this together.
Oh yeah, you did. Yeah.
So having the players do the channels and also give the kind of the backgrounds of the battle, which I think is accurate, because the commanders of the armies would actually give their understanding of what the battle means, rather than the umpires. So it came from it was their words that emboldened the forces, not the umpires. So I think that was definitely a good thing, for sure.
Well, good. It looks like we had a pretty successful Open Saturday, and it's very important to us to put this into the players' hands to the greatest degree possible. We can't let them fight this out to the bitter end. I know they want to. We can only do so much, but this is so much better than last year's campaign, where we simply rolled dice and the players had minimal input on the outcome of the battle. Here the players are making the critical decisions. We're generating battles from the campaign. I think this is a great success, and it's just about the best we can do. I would say this to players who want more out of this, is right now we're running as a 3-man team, and we've got 30-something players, I estimate, in the servers, all across a bunch of different servers. So if you want a deeper, richer, more detailed experience, we need more umpires, people who will help out and facilitate that. We could run part 2 of the battle today if we had the umpire availability to do it. But when it's the same 2 or 3 people all the time, it's hard. So
we have a fourth umpire as well, Marshall. We don't want to forget about Jeremy.
Jeremy. Oh, that's right. Jeremy. That's right. He's our secret chaos umpire, I suppose. But he is there, and absolutely. But we do need help. What I do want to say is the economic system has been running brilliantly, and by having that more or less automated, we've been able to spend more time on other stuff. So that frees me up to get a little bit more in depth with some of the other stuff, which I'm very pleased and happy with. A couple comments real quick. Marvelous Anarchy says this was without a doubt the chattest Blaustein victory. Well, we'll see. I don't know that has been determined yet, who the winner is. This is one of those things where even if you win, you kind of lost, But at the same time, it's a win. I don't know. I don't know what the outcome is here. I'm sure Carvike isn't liking it, though. I'll tell you that. Kai Mueller says only 5 breaches spread all over the city after 1 month of siege. I don't know that it was a full month of siege. There would have been workup to the city.
It took a while for siege cannons to get up there, I think.
Yeah, they were bringing them in, but I would have even had them say, like, well, they're willing up in July. But I think you got them a little sooner than you might have, just because we wanted to have that available for you for the Open Saturday. So just keep in mind that we have a lot of things that are going on. We have a lot of competition for Open Saturdays. So we want to run player-directed battles every Open Saturday we can. But then that you're going to get your 10, 12 turns, and then that's it. And we just kind of got to work within all of the constraints that we have. So again, more umpires. We get around to the 1807 iteration of the campaign, which personally I don't intend to have much interruption. We might take a week or 2 break to decide what changes we're going to make and who's going to onboard and so on. But ultimately, I really want to keep the momentum going as we go forward. And we are going to talk about some other ways to work the campaign. For example, we might skip a year or two because we can't have the Napoleonic Wars every year. But at the same time, what's the point? You know, the point of this is to generate battles, and that's what we're doing, and everybody seems to be happy. So, you know, we might play 2 or 3 years in detail and then decide, hey, it's the 1830s, let's skip that. And then, you know, come back in the 1840s and play 4 or 5 years of intense flurry of activity. We'll figure it out as we go. But I'm very pleased with how everything has turned out. I'm very pleased with the players, and of course my umpire support. Dave, you're doing phenomenal. Peter, you're awesome. I was able to take the day off yesterday. I'm grateful for you guys for that, and it's just been a very successful campaign as far as I'm concerned. So I want to thank you all for being here. I want to thank everybody who has been participating in the campaign. I want to encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube if you haven't. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers. We'd like to get past that barrier if we can. I'd also like to suggest to people that you find our Patreon. Subscribe to our Patreon. And also, of course, tell your family, friends, neighbors, whoever around you, to come join the Discord and get involved in these wonderful experiences that we have. It's a heck of a lot of fun. Any closing thoughts or remarks, guys, from either of you?
No, not from me.
No?
Yeah, I would say never take part in city assaults.
Yeah,
It can
yeah.
be quite claustrophobic.
Yeah, don't try to take cities from Vikings. I get it. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who is on the show. And, well, that's it for today, and we will see you